iPhone updates and tech updates in general have plateaued in recent years. Last September, when Apple released the iPhone 15 Pro, it was, as expected, only a minor upgrade from its predecessor. However, we should keep in mind that not everyone upgrades their phones every year, and those minor changes stack up over time until an upgrade is worth it. For me, as a former iPhone 13 user, the iPhone 15 Pro was a noticeable improvement over it. I know people are probably not going to upgrade their iPhones at this time of the year. Trust me, I wanted to make this video earlier, but I've been a bit busy lately. But I'm still making this video to give you my honest thoughts about this phone and for people looking to get a 15 Pro in the future. Let's get right into the video with its physical build. It's a pretty typical modern smartphone design with glass in the front and frosted glass in the back. But what's different about it is that it uses a pretty unique material for its frame, titanium, and it does actually make a difference over stainless steel. It makes the phone lighter to hold, and the slightly rounded edges also makes the phone more comfortable to grasp, but still flat enough to retain the iconic iPhone design and stand up by itself on a table. I've never really liked big phones, so the smaller 6.1-inch model, although missing out on the 5x telephoto lens, is perfect for me, and you can easily use it one-handed. The only annoyance I have with its design over iPhone 13 is its absolutely gigantic camera bump, especially compared to the phone's relatively small size. It gets in the way while I'm trying to hold my phone normally, and its thickness doesn't even allow for the phone to be used as a level anymore. Oh, the days when we were all freaking out over this thing on the iPhone 6. Now, as expected, the iPhone 15 Pros come with a flagship-grade display that is bright, smooth, and high quality. It is on the smaller side for flagship phones at 6.1 inches diagonally, which I actually prefer, as I have mentioned, with a pixel density of 460 pixels per inch, more than enough for the pixels to be indiscernible. On the top, you'll find a dynamic island, which does take up more space relative to the width of the phone on the smaller model. Honestly, for me, it still kind of feels gimmicky, like, yeah, there are some uses for it, such as being able to manage a timer or outgoing call easily, but it's nothing groundbreaking nor essential. The screen is plenty bright for use under direct sunlight, and it can go up to a whopping 2000 nits when the situation demands it. And yes, the display is also LTPO high refresh rate, meaning it can adapt its refresh rate based on the content shown on the screen, from 1 Hz and always on display to 120 Hz when scrolling. My eyes can definitely see the difference between a 120 Hz and 60 Hz display. Trust me, the monitor behind me is 144 Hz. And the iPhone 15 regular model still has a 60Hz display. And the 120Hz display does make the phone feel a lot smoother to use, but it's not really a must-have for me. Most of the devices I use every day still have 60Hz displays. For example, this iPad 9 that I still use daily and have no problem using them even after I upgraded to the 15 Pro, and I've been using for a while. Now, its battery life won't blow your mind, and it's probably not the best in the industry. Heck, it's not even the best compared to prior iPhones, but the battery life on this phone is more than good enough. It charges up relatively fast with the new USB-C charging port. It goes from like 20 to 80% in like less than an hour, and it can easily last me an entire day. The battery life on my iPhone 13 used to be good when it was new, but degraded over time, and by the time I upgraded, I already had to charge it in the evening. Well, this iPhone 15 Pro, after a day of normal usage with 120Hz sound, can still easily have like around maybe a bit less than 30% battery by the time I go to bed. Even under heavier usage, I would still be confidently going to all-day events without the charger, knowing that I can get through it with a good amount of battery left, even when taking lots of photos or checking stuff online frequently. For example, my screen on time is almost 7 hours today, and I still have a third of my battery left. Granted, I did have low power mode on for a pretty long time today, but this just shows how much usage you can actually squeeze out of this phone on a single charge. And I think it can easily last you like 2 days, given you turn on low power mode and turn off 120Hz. Especially compared to phones that are weaker on the battery, like the Google Pixel 8, I can say I am more than satisfied with its battery life. Now, despite the 6.1-inch model not having the 5x periscope zoom lens, this camera system is still one of the best you can find on a smartphone. Like, just look at how much space this camera bump takes up compared to the relatively compact size of the phone. It's humongous. I would also say that this is also one of the most balanced camera systems you can find on a smartphone, with basically lossless quality images from 0.5x all the way up to about 4x zoom. The main camera is a 48 megapixel sensor with a f1.78 aperture, which bends down to a 12 megapixel picture unless you have Pro RAW on. It captures vibrant images in basically all conditions, no matter indoors or outdoors, on a sunny or cloudy day. Though the bad HDR that iPhones are known for is still kinda there, it has become acceptable and is nowhere near as bad as previous generations. Its sensor size is also more than large enough to capture amazing night mode pictures, sometimes even kinda overdoing it. Graining and noise is minimal and most details are preserved, though I do gotta say the lens flare is still noticeable, which is a bummer. Also, thanks to the fact that the main sensor is 48 megapixels, it can also capture images at 2x zoom while maintaining a 12 megapixel image. This does fix the problem of bad image quality and zoom levels between 1x and whatever the minimum zoom level of the telephoto camera is, which is present in some smartphones, like some of the Samsung Galaxy Ultras. The ultra-wide camera, as usual, is significantly worse in quality. To start off, it's only a 12 megapixel sensor. Normal daytime pictures and videos are fine, but the image quality does gradually get worse as lighting conditions deteriorate, to the point where noise is very apparent in night mode pictures taken in the darkest lighting conditions and filming videos in low light conditions. It's fine, but don't expect DSLR class pictures from that ultra-wide lens. Unlike the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which does have a 5x periscope telephoto camera that allows for 25x digital zoom, the regular 15 Pro only has a 3x telephoto camera that allows up to 15x digital zoom. But honestly, I don't mind it. You rarely need to zoom past this level anyways, and the fact that the telephoto camera on the 15 Pro Max only starts at 5x makes the image quality between 3x and 5x zoom even worse, since it's just cropping into the main sensor until it hits that 5x mark. The telephoto camera also produces very good images in most lighting conditions, except for the darkest environments in which its relatively small sensor does struggle a bit. Having a telephoto camera is actually one of the biggest advantages I noticed coming from iPhone 13. No longer do I have to get physically closer when I'm scanning a QR code from a projector in class because the camera couldn't pick it up through the horrendous image quality. The telephoto camera can capture it perfectly. I can also use it as a magnifying glass if I can't read something clearly from afar. Let's say there's a lot of use for this 3x telephoto lens. When you zoom past 8x, this mini viewfinder shows up in the corner so you wouldn't get lost. I don't understand why Apple software locked this to the 15 Pro only when the 14 Pro also has a 3x zoom lens, but that's just Apple, I guess. Video-wise, iPhones remain undefeated. In fact, the entire A-roll of this video was filmed on the iPhone 15 Pro, and the rest on the iPhone 14 Pro. The mic is loud and clear, the image quality is just as crisp, and it can film up to 4K at 60 FPS. I also appreciate the new camera features, such as Action Mode, which was actually introduced with the iPhone 14. That does keep your videos noticeably more stable, the automatic capture of depth information just in case if you forgot to use portrait mode, and the flower thing, which I have no idea what it does. Overall, this is a 9 out of 10 camera system that's one of the best in the industry and can capture good images and videos at a wide variety of zoom levels and conditions. The ultra-wide camera could definitely be better, and Apple should definitely do something about the lens flare, but those are relatively minor flaws compared to the overall superb camera system. I was initially skeptical with Apple replacing something that has been on the iPhone for over 16 years, but I'm actually quite happy with this decision. You see, me and probably a lot of other people don't really use the mute switch because my phone is always in silent mode anyways. So it's a welcoming move for Apple to convert the mute switch to a programmable button that can perform an action that's more relevant. By default, it's still set to toggle in silent mode with distinct haptics, so you can still tell whether your phone has been muted or not without taking it out of your pocket. But with this elaborate menu and settings that I haven't really seen anywhere else in iOS, you can change it to turn on the flashlight, open the camera, take a new note, etc. Or if you wanted to do a very specific thing that isn't one of the presets, you can always set it to run a shortcut, which basically grants this button almost unlimited potential. Through shortcuts, you can make it open the app, set your orientation lock, call someone, turn on Wi-Fi, and much more. I really wish that I can program it to perform different tasks depending on if you click or hold the button, but I guess Apple can always address that in a future update. Overall, after reprogramming it to performing an action more relevant to me, I'm actually quite glad that Apple gave us a customizable button that we can set to do whatever we want. More customization is always better, right? When I first got this phone, I've tried to shove a lightning cable up its port for more times than I can count. Like, it just feels so weird, almost illegal, to be charging my iPhone with USB-C, which is something I've always associated with Android phones. But after using it for a few days, I've gotten used to it. When I had my iPhone 13, I usually charged it on a wireless charging stand, which I unfortunately can't do anymore because the camera bump on this phone is just too damn big to keep the wireless charging coil lined up. I don't really do wired data transfers that much, so the USB 3 speed isn't that relevant to me, and I don't even know how to test it. But I guess the switch is for the better, since Apple has already switched the vast majority of its devices, including iPads, AirPods, and MacBooks over to USB-C. In fact, it was Apple who pioneered the switch, with them introducing a laptop with only one USB-C port back in 2015. Now, all of my electronic devices, except for my iPad 9, charge with USB-C. Bring the European Union's vision of a universal charging port even closer for me, an American. And when I finally get rid of my iPad, who knows when that'll be because it's still working perfectly fine right now, I'll finally be able to charge all of my devices with one single cable, which should be the braided USB-C cable that Apple now includes in all of their devices. Overall, this change has basically little to no impact for me, and if all of your other devices are already charged with USB-C, then good for you. Enjoy the universal port. So all in all, is iPhone 15 Pro a good phone, and should you upgrade? Well, it certainly is one of the best flagship smartphones on the market right now. The slightly rounded titanium rails is nice, the cameras, aside from a few minor issues, are superb as usual. The display is high refresh rate, bright and clear, the performance is no issue with the A17 Pro processor bringing ray tracing to the iPhone. The programmable action button is a nice addition, and the switch to USB-C takes us one step closer to the vision of one universal charging port for all devices. Overall, it is a really solid phone, and one of the last somewhat compact flagship phones out there, since I know even the smaller Pro model iPhone this year will be 6.3 inches. But should you upgrade? As we all know, the technological advancements of smartphones have basically plateaued at this point, with year-over-year changes being relatively minor. We probably will not see an upgrade from, let's say, the iPhone 7 to the iPhone 10 in quite a while. So if you got anything from the iPhone 14 series, you should definitely not be upgrading because your phone is as is perfectly fine, and the upgrades are probably not very noticeable. Maybe wait for the iPhone 16 series to come out in September, and you can then decide if you want to upgrade based on if the 16 series is a big jump or not. If you have iPhone 13 Pro, also hold on to that because you already got most of the iPhone 15 Pro features, such as 3x optical zoom, 120Hz, etc. already. But if you have an iPhone 13 or anything from the iPhone 12 series or older, then yes, you should definitely go for it. For me, upgrading from my 13 to the 15 Pro made a huge difference, especially in the display, camera, and battery department. And if you got anything older than that, I would say even the iPhone 12 Pros, you'll also notice a significant improvement by upgrading. But if you have iPhone 13 or older, I would recommend you just wait for the 16 Pro series to be released in a couple months. But overall, the iPhone 15 Pro is a very solid, albeit a bit standard 2023 flagship that will sure last for many years to come. If Apple continues its 6 to 7 years of software support, this phone will be good to use and running the latest software in 2030. And after using it for almost 6 months, I'm very happy with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tech content. And I will see you guys later. Bye!